All right, everybody, welcome to Unscripted One-on-One, and from my still basement studios here, but as many know, we will be moving to the Junction in Old Hilliard sometime in April. But for today, we are here in the basement, and I have another guest for you. And my guest today is Brian Timm, and I'm just going to actually turn it right over to you. Let you introduce yourself, and we'll just get going right from there.
Hey, Aaron. Well, thanks so much for having me on. We met a number of years ago and have stayed in touch, and it's been a real pleasure. But I've been a pretty fortunate person to work in sports really my whole life. I went to Wittenberg University and played a little bit of football, but became a student manager and really, was a contributor to our football and basketball program at Wittenberg. This is back in the early 80s. Had the opportunity to attend Ohio University and get my master's in sports administration. And the program was an incredible program back when I was in it. In the last 3 or 4 years, it's been rated the #1 program in the world for sports administration. So proud of that. And that gave me a great start. My first internship, which turned into a job, was with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, I grew up, born in Cincinnati, grew up a Reds fan. And some of my best baseball memories were the Reds beating the Pirates. So walking up the ramp to the dugout at Three Rivers Stadium was awe-inspiring just to be on a major league stadium on the field. But it was kind of the enemy. But I was there 6.5 years and grew to love the Pirates. And today they're still my 1A favorite team.
Yeah.
Left there and came to Columbus. And since I've been here in Columbus in 1991, I've done a lot of things. Was involved in the AmeriFlora project in 1992. Actually worked on the project a year before it started, and that was a great experience. That led me to WBNS Radio. Was there when our FAM station went from music to all sports, and spent 10 years there. A lot of that with the Ohio State Radio Network, selling time and sponsorships on the Ohio State Radio Network. Did a short stint with the Ohio State coaches television shows. Remember the day when I got the call that Jim O'Brien had been dismissed and we weren't sure who was coming in, and got to work with Thad Matta. And we always had a little fun with that. And he told us once, you guys better be careful. This could have been Bobby Knight sitting here doing this show instead of me.
Wow.
So we were thankful that we had Thad in the seat that day, those
Right.
days. And then I left BNS and came to the Greater Columbus Sports Commission, kind of the founding years of the Greater Columbus Sports Commission. The Sports Commission is a nonprofit in place to drive economic development to Central Ohio through hosting sporting events, high school events, college events, professional events, participatory events, all types of events. Spent 14 years there, and just this past November, started with a couple great Buckeyes actually, Megan McCabe and Ryan Miller here at M2 Marketing. We're a full service marketing agency, but really concentrate on creating websites and web platforms, digital platforms for those business who want to interact with their customers in a digital way. So that's a quick summary of how I got to where we are right here today.
Yeah. Well, and so I'll take everybody back a little bit to the point where where we met, and that was, like you said, about 4 or 5 years ago, somewhere in there. And I think the first time we met was at the memorial, and we had John Cangelosi with us at the time, and so you and Kanji were able to catch up on some Pirates days, which was kind of fun to just listen in on as we walked around. But the thing I'll remember most is you were like the mayor at the memorial. Like everybody knew you. You knew everybody. I mean, who all did we run into that day? We ran into Clark Kellogg at one point. Not name dropping here. AJ Hawk. We went into the house of Dave Babner for a while.
Sure.
We spent time with a lot of people, and they all knew you very well, and you could just tell that you were very well respected in that role at that time. And so let's go back to the very beginning. What was your passion to begin sports? Like what drew you to sports? You said you played. What was that really what brought you in and said, this is what I want to make a career out of?
Yeah, I played multiple sports when I was in high school. It was a notation at the Sports Commission. We hosted a lot of the OHSAA state championships here in Columbus. We're very proud of that. But all of us on staff at the time I was the only one that participated in an Ohio high school state championship.
Wow.
For 1 year at my beloved Troy High School, I participated in gymnastics and I did long horse vaulting. We finished second in the state. I believe it was my junior year. So I was in multiple sports as a high school person, and really was in love with football, and had an opportunity to go play at Wittenberg. So my freshman year at Wittenberg, we were number one in the country from the day the season started till the day we lost the Stag Bowl to Ithaca College. I realized then at Wittenberg, we had a great team and a great program. And I realized I was pretty far down the depth chart. And if I was going to contribute, being a student manager would be the best way to do that. So became a student manager. And it was while I was at Wittenberg, again, thinking I wanted to stay in sports, thinking maybe I wanted to coach. I got my degree in health and health and phys ed. At the time, I had the great opportunity not only to meet and become friends with, but work for Coach Larry Hunter, our basketball coach, who was a legend at Ohio University in his own right. So when I applied to get into the program at Ohio University, he was one of my references, one of many. And that's when I really had an excitement of having a career in sports, to go to a program like that really prepares you in so many ways for a career in sports. And I really chose professional sports. When you're at Ohio U, you can go into whatever area of sport you choose. A lot of my classmates were involved in college sports, some in PR, some in all kinds of different sports. I was more interested in pro sports. I was more interested in a sales and a marketing role. So took those kinds of classes, and that really is what led me to the Pirates.
And so, and we get a lot of interns I've worked with over the years that all have a vision, even high school kids that have this vision. And I always use the example of Aaron Andrews on the sideline or Kirk Herbstreit in the booth. And I always try to tell them that's a really long process, and it's doable, but you really have to be in for the long haul. Would you say that that's true? That you had to really, there's a lot of years of no income or working two jobs. And I don't know your story specifically, but I know that that's the story of most people. They didn't just arrive and get this opportunity. They had to really grind for a lot of years. Would you say that's true?
Well, it is true, but I was very, very fortunate. So if you think about the 1984 school year that I was at Athens for sports administration, there were only 5 or 6 or 7 programs in the country that had sports administration back then. So today it's totally different.
Right.
Most schools have some version of an undergraduate or a graduate program. Even the Ohio University program now, it's a 2-year combined program. You get a master's in sports administration and an MBA.
Wow.
And while I was at the Pirates, we used to host the class for a field trip. And I'm telling you what, when you see those students in that program now, they are so impressive.
Yeah.
So not to say I had it easy, but because the power of the program, I got my internship at the Pirates and it immediately became into a job. So there were people who worked years that wanted to get into professional baseball. I went to, got my master's and walked right in. I worked with a guy in the sales department who came from the Hawaii Islanders. They were our AAA affiliate. He had worked there 3 or 4 years, and he would sell tickets and park cars and seat people and literally do everything. Now,
yeah,
he's doing it in Hawaii. I don't know why he came to Pittsburgh, really.
That's right.
But, no, so I was very, very fortunate that I was able to really get to a professional organization right out of grad school. I don't think that's normal. No. And what I tell young people all the time is, when you're young, when you don't have the great responsibility you have when you're married and when you're older, take that opportunity to either volunteer, take a lower paying job, just do something to show people your work ethic, to interact with people so you start to develop your network. When I was at the Pirates, the community relations person, we had a 4-person sales team, and the community relations person would come into our sales meeting, and we all knew why she was coming. She was going to ask one of us to go speak here, or to go make it up and to do this here. And everyone's head would look down when she came in. They didn't want to make eye contact. As a young person, I realized, you know what, if I start doing these, it will just make me a better person and a better salesperson. So I started doing all of them. And what I found was, even though I was nobody, Brian Timm. I worked for the Pittsburgh Pirates. I had a business card with the Pirates logo on it. People wanted to hear what I had to say. And of course,
Yep.
back in those days, I was the same age as our players, and really to this day have great relationships with a number of our players like John Cangelosi.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to share some stories about interacting with some of these players. And so those kind of experiences really helped develop me into the kind of person that I am today.
For sure. And I think those years, and you said it, you just said it the best, you know, when you don't have those responsibilities is really when you take advantage of any opportunity. And then, you know, as you evolve, and it sounds like each step has led to the next one for you. So let's go from the Pirates now to Columbus, now to the Columbus Sports Commission. Your time there, what did that involve in? How did you see the landscape of sports in Columbus change? Because it's changed dramatically. I've been here 20 years, I think, ish. How have you seen, I know I've seen it change. How have you seen the Columbus landscape of sports change, and especially being in a role that was so close to probably a lot of those projects?
Well, it's so interesting because when I came to Columbus and spent a year at Ameriflora, that was a really neat project. But really, when I got to BNS Radio, you know, at the time we had the two play-by-play broadcasts of our only two sports, Ohio State and the Clippers.
Yeah.
There was no crew. There was no Blue Jackets. So first and foremost, so many sports have now come from all different sports, all different levels of sport. There's so much more to talk about. And in those days, we played music during the day on 1460 AM. We played Frank Sinatra during the day. And we had what was called one-on-one sports overnight and weekends. That was one of the precursors to talk radio. And so I saw teams evolve. I saw the city evolve from a not only a team standpoint, but from a facility standpoint.
Yeah.
When they were building the Schottenstein Center, I was selling the radio broadcast probably once a week. I was taking potential clients over, giving them a tour of the Schottenstein Center. I remember standing in a concrete floor with pillars saying, this is going to be a suite. Look at the view that people are going to see. And then I can remember the first time I went to the Schottenstein Center for a game and stood in a suite and had a beer. I thought, I'm having a beer at a Buckeye game.
Right.
It was mind blowing.
Right.
Then the Blue Jackets roll in, and that's a whole nother level of excitement and really big time sports for our community. So so Columbus has really grown in so many ways. We've grown as a sports city in so many ways. We've grown from a destination. Boy, you said 20 years. Think about 20 years ago, the restaurants we didn't have and the nightlife we didn't have. Downtown was dead back in those days. And before the pandemic, downtown, I remember, I think it was 2019, I was down in the short north on a Saturday at 1 p.m, and I could barely get into a place.
Yeah.
There were so many people out and about. And Columbus was really peaking when the virus hit. It was really a special time when you combine all the dining options we had in entertainment and sports. You had transportation with the C bus and all the different ways to get around. I really dream about the day we get back to that. I'm not sure we'll ever get back exactly to that, but I think when we get back to it, it might be better in some ways.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And I always say that, like, I traveled quite a bit in a previous life. And when you could always tell the vibrancy of a downtown when you would walk around, if you felt comfortable, if it felt clean, if it felt safe. And Columbus has all those boxes. Like, to your point, I don't think we came downtown a lot. And I remember watching the Clippers over at, what was it called? It's still there.
Cooper Stadium.
The Clippers Stadium. You'd think we would know that because they're the Clippers, but it's just old. I mean, it was, it wasn't in a great part of town, and it wasn't surrounded by anything. You kind of dropped in, went to the game, and went out. It was like $5, no big deal. And now we have, a beautiful ballpark right next to a beautiful arena, right next to a lot of, downtown has really come a long way. They host great races, back to Dave Babner. He hosts great races in downtown Columbus and running events. And it's just a great city to really enjoy and feel safe. And there's a lot that you can do. And so I agree with you. I hope we get back to those things soon, because downtown Columbus is really special. It really is. And now that they've redone the Olentangy River area and just everything. I mean, it's just COSI, the new vet stadium. I mean, there's so many different things that are really, really nice attractions in downtown Columbus. So I hope we get back to that soon. And
Sure
I know in your role, you probably, what did we have that was the women's Final Four?
Well, going way back, I remember 1984, 2007. I started with the Sports Commission in January of 2007. And that March, we had the NHL draft. Now, the NHL had done their draft for years, like all other sports. It was a Saturday morning, round one. They'd get 3 rounds in on a Saturday. That year, they changed it up. They decided to have round one on Friday night, prime time, with a full arena, and Columbus was the benefit of that. We were the very first one. So the plaza around the arena district was packed, and the team representatives were walking up from the Hyatt and from the hotels and kind of winding their way through the fans into the arena. And it was a sold out arena. And I stood there thinking, oh my gosh, look at this. Look what our city's created. And granted, the NHL did a great job of helping us with that. So that was a big moment. The other kind of moments that we shared at the Sports Commission were aspirational events of ours. If you remember the NHL All-Star game that we hosted,
yes,
we bid on it and didn't get it. And the Blue Jackets were always, of course, a big part of that. And then we got it, and then there was a work stoppage, and we had to postpone it for a year. But then when we got it in 15, the winter park that was created down at McPherson Commons, the snow slide coming down Nationwide Boulevard, it was an incredible weekend of activity down there. And then, of course, the crown jewel from when I was there, something that was the most important to us, was the women's basketball Final Four. Hosted many regionals for men's basketball. But the women's Final Four is a perfect event for Columbus. It has a core group of great fans, many that travel every year to wherever it is. We knew how welcoming and open Columbus would be as a city for that event. We had literally one overtime game and 2 buzzer beaters in our 3 games. So we had the best games ever. And it was just an incredible experience and a really fulfilling experience for so many people that work in sports and tourism in Central Ohio.
Yeah, they did. And I didn't get to the women's. I know I went to, I think it was the first round when Carolina played here. I'm kind of a Carolina fan, as you know.
Of course you are.
I got to see, I was very blessed to get some tickets, and the arena was great. Everything was well done. It was in and out. And that's the thing, is you're not log jamming traffic. I mean, my son and I went, and we had a great time. And it was just, even on a summer night to go see the Clippers, Diamond Dog Nights, those kind of things. In and out easy, great access to the freeways. You're not stuck in traffic, and parking is always pretty achievable pretty much anywhere you go. So just a great town. It really is. And so I appreciate your kind of behind the curtain view of what's happened over the years. But let's really talk to where you are now, because transitions happen, and you and I are both in those transitions now. And that's where I think we connected a few weeks ago. And I really wanted to get you on to talk about what you're doing now. You said you are working with a couple former Buckeyes, but what do you guys do? And just let's talk about that.
Well, it's really a great story. Ryan Miller played for the Buckeyes in the late 90s, played in that great Rose Bowl win over Arizona State. And so I first met Ryan when he came to work with us at WBNS Radio and Television in the early 2000s. He did that for a while. As fun as that is, to go to a bunch of games and everything and talk about him, he was looking for more, and decided to get his MBA. Went to the Fisher School of Business to get his MBA, and was in the same class as a woman named Megan McCabe. Now, Megan played women's basketball for Ohio State, so she was a Buckeye athlete as well. And not only were they in the same class, they did a bunch of projects together as part of their work, and they started kind of drifting together to say, we kind of have the same philosophies, we kind of have the same way of looking at things. And before they even got their degree, they decided, hey, let's get our degrees. let's get together and form a business and create a marketing company. So 17 years ago, they took their two names and created M2 Marketing and started out being a full service marketing agency. So we can do just about any marketing that some business might need. But really what we've kind of matriculated to here in 2021 is really the creation of digital platforms and websites. We can still do brochures and business cards and those kinds of things that companies need, but boy, with digital technology, not as many people are printing brochures and things to physically hand out.
Yeah.
So really the forte of what we do is creating websites. So taking someone who's perhaps a new startup business, they need a very good upfront area on the web so that potential customers can find them and see their capabilities. Whether that's someone who's had a website for a number of years, wants to take advantage of newer technology, upgrade their look, upgrade what they're doing. It might be a company that a year ago, their website was great, but guess what? Now in COVID, with different ways people are experiencing things, purchasing things, maybe they need now to upgrade. Maybe they never accepted payments before on their website. Yeah. Maybe they didn't have a virtual tour or Zoom meetings type things. So as technology changes, as the world changes, the needs of business change. And the beautiful thing about the technology is it just keeps getting better, and you can really get creative. And we have on our staff a bunch of talented, creative designers and developers. Now, the funny thing is, I started here November 30th. There are many of them I've never seen before other than in a Zoom meeting.
Wow.
I'm in the office every day, and as an older salesperson, I enjoy being in the office, and I'm here every day. They all work remotely because everything they do is on their computers and on our systems. So I look for the day when we can all have a staff meeting together and all be in the same place, because I can already tell the culture that Megan and Ryan have created here. We did some fun things over the holidays, and I can tell the camaraderie of these developers. We have a kind of a internal chat channel where they talk to each other, and I'm linked into that. So I'm mainly observing it right now. And they've got, again, great relationships, great culture. So really my role is to call on business and see how we can help people do their business more efficiently and solve problems that a business might have.
Have you found that a lot of companies, and it's unfortunate, but yet, probably fortunate for you guys, are a lot of companies outsourcing those type of things now that COVID is here? As you said, companies are getting smaller, they're being more remote, they're looking for ways to cut corners, cut costs. Have you found that people are outsourcing a bit to places like you, or are they still holding true to full staff? I would imagine it's probably getting outsourced.
I think the outsourcing started probably before COVID in that most people, when you're looking at their website or a digital platform, it's not something they do every month or even every year. You do need, depending upon the business, of course, you do need to kind of keep abreast of things and keep an eye on things if you have a lot of traffic. But so do you hire a person and have them sit on your staff, sit in your office, and they're ready for something when it goes wrong, or they're ready to react to a challenge that you might have? Or do you hire a company like ours who we have a team of people that can kind of serve that same purpose, only they're not sitting in your office and you're not paying them every day.
Yeah.
So really, again, I think it was pre-COVID, the fact that many businesses went to that model as opposed to trying to hire all those people and have them on staff. And so that's really as we see ourselves, as an extension of our clients' marketing staff, to help them continue to run their business and be creative and reach people the way they want to reach them.
Have you found that you all, and do you all get into the social media aspect at all, or is it primarily the website?
No, we do. So we have all different levels of service. And when it comes to social media, there are so many levels that you can
Yes.
engage with.
Yeah.
We don't do the highest, most active SEO. We do some SEO, but some companies are looking for some very advanced, which becomes very expensive search engine optimization.
Yeah.
So we don't do the upper sides of that. We do kind of a minimal SEO, but we certainly work with our clients on social media. We can provide a template. If you want to send out a note about, let's say you're an insurance company and you want to send out a note about auto insurance, well, we could create a real beautiful template that we would send you. The company has a person, a marketing person there. They drop in the terminology, the verbiage, and then they email it out or post it on their channels. And our clients have found that that's a great way to reach out, and you pop it on LinkedIn and people see it, people comment on it, and all of a sudden it turns into engagement.
That's great. Do you all monitor social media accounts, or do you get that into it, or is it more of a here's your website, here's your social media, and then you kind of let the company run with it a little bit and then stay there as support? Or do you actually have people in almost like an embedded somebody, because we all know with social media, you got to monitor it constantly as a business because somebody may react or something could go viral that's good or bad and all those things. Do you all get that ingrained in it, or do you just stay more as that supportive side?
For most of our clients, we just stay as a supportive side. We provide them with not only the tools, but sometimes the ideas to take their message and to push it out. We'll be as involved as they want us to be, but most folks utilize us for for the images, the graphics, the tools, perhaps maybe a plan. We work with a lot of our clients on a plan, a year plan, a 6-month plan. We check in with them to see how things are going, if they need to tinker with that plan in terms of how they announce different things. Sometimes it's a calendar thing. They've got an anniversary coming up or a big sale coming up. So it really is client by client, but we don't have anyone sitting watching social media 24/7 to react to when one of our clients has something posted. No.
Yeah. And then it sounds like it's very consultative, but at the same time, do you find that you are sitting down with someone and just listening or looking at their business and then, basically consulting with them to say, here's what we see for you? Or do you find that people come to you and say, help, we don't have a first clue, or maybe there's a third bucket that says, we know what we want, we just don't have the people to do it. Is it a little bit of each one?
It sure is, because some people, they don't know what they want because they really don't know what's out there. They don't know that they're missing some unique technology. Others, I had a prospect talk to me a couple of weeks ago. He said, I know what I want. It's just hard for me to explain it to you. And it's hard for me to put it, to put it down. So we ask a lot of questions, like in any great sales opportunity. You just ask a lot of questions about things that are points of pain for them, things that they would like to do. We always like to ask them, boy, have you seen any websites that you really, really like? Just to give us an idea of the kinds of things they like. I think, Aaron, one of the biggest things that we can do to assist business is solve problems.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. The Boren brothers, who played football at Ohio State, and if you drive around town, you see their name on dumpsters. They have a company that is trash removal, and they have dumpsters all over. We have one right out here in our parking lot. They also have a lawn mowing company called Grass Groomers, and part of that is a snow removal company.
Yep.
And they came to M2 before I was here with some challenges on the snow removal side. For their snow removal, they hire a lot of subcontractors. So a subcontractor will get a call. They'll go to a parking lot. They'll plow. They'll drop salt, whatever they need to do. They'll go back to their garage. They'll write up a report or maybe an invoice. It may sit on their dashboard for a week, and then they give it to their manager, and he may compile them all. And then 3 weeks after the guy plowed the lot, maybe that gets turned into to the Bourne brothers as an invoice. Well, That process was a little clunky for them. So they came to us and said, how can we work on a solution? So we created a web platform for them, whereas their management can look at a computer screen at any time, and they can see all their lots that they have contracted. They can understand the weather predictions at each one of those lots.
Wow.
When it snows, they call their subcontractors, they send them out. The subcontractor uses their phone and logs into the system, documents how much time it took, how much product they used. When they're done, they hit send. On the map, it automatically turns green, meaning it's done. It automatically uploads into the invoicing system so that that company, that subcontractor, then automatically invoices the Bourne brothers for that work. And it's really streamlined the process. Things aren't falling through the cracks. Things are done so much more quickly. So it's those kind of business solutions that I always like to use as an example, because people say, well, I have a good website, or
Right.
we don't need anything updated on our website. Well, there's a lot more opportunity with digital technology than just the pretty website that you have and the way that people can reach you. If you've got a real challenge in your business, there's electronically and digitally, there's a lot of ways to help address that.
Yeah, there are solutions. It's a matter of knowing the right people or how to get to them. And if there's one thing that's really worth the investment, it's technology, because
Yes.
we're all so immersed in it. So like, if your website's not mobile yet, then please hear my voice and give Brian a call, because you really got to get, I mean, I know I look at my stats, I don't live by my stats for just this even small podcaster. I've had a blog for 10, 15 years. Looking at those stats, I'm shocked. Like, you're talking 60 to 70% of people that visit your website are mobile. Like, if you're still running a website and it's not mobile, but you hear my voice, know this, you gotta understand your audience. Your audience is not looking at a computer to look at your website. I think we all think we sit around scrolling websites now like we used to. They're on their phone. And if that thing's not friendly on their phone, you're really missing a huge opportunity. So I'm sure you guys see that. I'm preaching to the choir, I'm sure. But that's it. To your point, there's technology out there that you really need to sit down with someone that really knows, because it's worth that investment. The return is, ironically enough, we had someone, one of the guys from Bourne Brothers, it wasn't one of the Bourne Brothers, it was a representative for them, came in just the other day. I think it was last week or the week before, and he was asking about plowing our lot. So,
He
gave me, now I don't know if you all made their handouts, but they were gorgeous. They were very well done. A lot of detail to them. The handout he left us was fantastic. But
I will admit, I don't know if we did those.
Well, if you did, they were amazing. And if not, then shout out to whoever did them, because they really did a nice job. But we have to do that as a business. You got to be on top of it, because it changes so fast. So to have a partner that can do that for you, it's worth your time and investment, no doubt. I can't imagine without it.
It really is. So I learned once I got here, that's called being responsive.
Yeah.
So your older websites were built for a computer.
Right.
And then tablets came on board, and then mobile phones came on board, all different screen sizes. And so the newest technology, and it's not that new, but it makes that responsive. So no matter what you're looking at it, you see the full site and able to take advantage of all your entire website, no matter what platform you're on.
And that's a great point, because there's all three screens that people are looking at. The mass majority are looking at their phone, but there are still people that look at computer, or they look at their phone and then go to their computer or their tablet. As you said, it's got to be there. So very good that you all can help with those things. What's the best way for anyone listening to this? What's the best way to reach out to you?
Well, I think the first thing would be to go to M2, and that's the letter M, the number 2, m2marketing.com. You can see there a listing of our portfolio of companies that we've worked with in the past. We've done websites for the Memorial Tournament, for the Arnold Classic, for Roosters, for M3S Sports, and all the races that they do. Kaiser Consulting. I can't list them all because there's so many, and they're all in diverse, different business categories. But it'll really give you a good look at the kinds of folks that we work with, and then a real-time link to their website so that you can see the actual work that we've done. My email here is brian.timm at m2marketing.com. So very easy, Brian.Timm at m2marketing.com. And my direct phone number, 614-397-5470. And again, I've only been here since November 30th. I've been drinking through a fire hose, learning about this business, but I've been in sales my whole life. So I really love engaging with people and interacting with people, and would love to talk to anybody that has any questions about what can or can't be done, or anything. It's just all a process. We want to do things the way our clients would like to see them done. We want to create web platforms and digital platforms that help them do business more successfully and more easily.
And I will have all those things in the link. Is there a Twitter account for M2?
Ooh, there is a Twitter account.
I think there is. There was actually like two of them, and I want to make sure I get the right one if I post it. But everything will be in my blog post when I put it up. I
am at Brian J. Timm.
Yep.
So I'm there as well as on LinkedIn. So
yeah.
There's so many places you can find everybody today. I really enjoy that part of our technology world today. I stay in touch with friends of mine from elementary school, high school, college, Pirates, different jobs. Sometimes you don't always talk to them, but you can always kind of take a look and see what they're doing and period on them. And I really enjoy that.
And I would say, I think one thing that I'm sure you're tapping into, and the very reason that we're on today, you and I met and, created a relationship. And I think we are both in sales and have, it sounds like, been in that majority of our life, different titles, different roles, but at the end of the day, it's about relationship building. And it sounds like you're really using that, tapping into your experience. This is a pivot, it sounds like, but at the same time, it's a pivot, but it's not, because you're still building relationships. And I think that you do that and the rest will take care of itself. Would you agree?
Yeah, I had a mentor once tell me early that if you can sell, you can accomplish anything, because there's so many parts of the sales process that really help you in life. Again, I was that salesperson that would look away when they were looking for somebody to volunteer to speak. And now I go to networking events and I attend as many events as I can, and just love meeting people and hearing their stories. What's amazing to me is the really few levels of separation between all of us. The fact that I met Aaron, and then John Cangelosi comes into that meeting, and I knew John in the 80s, and now Aaron and I know John, and so there's just so many different levels of relationships that way, from not only people but from places where you've been. Our alumni group at Ohio University is a very tight-knit group, always looking out for each other, always helping each other, cheering each other on, and it's a big group now. The program started in 1967, so it's been it's a big group. But again, I just love the sales process. I love to interact with people. I love to hear news stories and find out how people are doing things. And this position now is, I'll say that I'm working in sports because I'm working for two former athletes, but maybe the first job that's not directly in sports, but hey, I can call on all these sporting companies, sports teams, sports companies to do some digital stuff for them. So, but I love just being in the people business.
And you've built many bridges over the years, my friend, and this is one, that we've had the opportunity to get to know each other, and that's a bridge. And you never know when you may need to recross that bridge for something else, new opportunity. As you said, we're all like, I know it's 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, but I think we're maybe 2. It's been amazing in this podcast that I've found that, like, I'm about 2 to 3 people away from the person that I really want to. So I have a little list that I'm keeping, and I'm amazed at how I reach out to somebody and they're like, oh yeah, I know that guy, or I know that person, or I know somebody that knows that. It's incredible. And so I think relationships are everything, and I'm thankful for our relationship. But so I'll get all the links in the post, and I recommend anybody. So last question on that with M2, do you have to be in Columbus? Because I don't know.
Digital technology is digital. It's everywhere.
Okay.
Before Ryan and Megan started their company, or shortly after they started it, Brian's wife is a doctor. She was at Duke Medical Center, and they lived in Raleigh. And so we have some clients from North Carolina. Because we love the relationship part of the business, we love to sit down and talk to people face to face. And sometimes that's a little more difficult when a business is in another state.
Yeah.
But it certainly can be done. But yeah, with digital, it can happen anywhere.
Okay, so they don't have to be local. This isn't just a local Columbus business, and I won't hold Duke against her. I promise, I won't. I've never met her, so I can't do that because I don't know her. If I did, then we could talk and I could maybe talk her into something else. But anyway, okay. So all right, you ready for some rapid fire?
Sure.
Okay. Favorite athlete you've ever worked with?
Favorite athlete I've ever worked with, I would say Clark Kellogg.
Yes.
He's a real gem, and I've always said that in this community we have Clark Kellogg and Archie Griffin, and they are two of the absolute nicest people that you and me and anybody will meet, because they'll stop and talk to anybody. And I've been around a lot of athletes, and they are two of a kind. So really the two of them, but Clark is really special.
Agreed. I met him the day we were out there, and I actually have the picture of Kanji. Who's I don't know, and I don't want to insult him by giving his height, but he's 5 something, right?
Yes.
And Clark is not. Clark is
Correct.
6'10" ish.
6'9", 6'10", yeah.
So it's one of the funniest pictures ever because they are like father-son picture. It's really funny. But no, that's the only time I've ever met him. But he seems like an incredibly genuine and just the kind of guy you see on TV is exactly what he is in person. It seemed like.
Here's a little tidbit on Clark Kellogg. Of course, he loves to golf.
Yes.
He putts one-handed.
Wow.
He holds his putter in one hand, swings it like a pendulum, and he's pretty accurate.
Yes. Unbelievable. I have enough time with 2. So the other thing I would say, you mentioned Archie, and not to we had Bo do the what do you call them, the Columbus Dispatch Sports Awards. And he was the keynote speaker. And so we were in this little room. I mean, it was, I don't know, 10 by 10. It was a backstage kind of room. And at some point, Archie came in. And I've told this story on the podcast before, but I was sitting in this room, and it's unforgettable because I was literally sitting between Bo and Archie. And I'm like, what am I doing here right now? This is unbelievable. And I texted a friend of mine, and I wish I could have done like a little selfie so he could have seen. And he said, you should have take a picture and then post that there's 3 Heisman in this picture.
Yes.
So yeah, no, that was amazing. But Archie was, as you said, very genuine, just an incredible guy to be around, just even for the few minutes I was with him.
Well, Aaron, I have a picture behind me of me, and there's 5 Heismans there.
There you go.
So Troy and Eddie, Hop, and Archie, we did an event, and I had the opportunity to get a picture with the 4 of them. So
there you go. Perfect segue. And I couldn't even tell what was behind you. So perfect segue. All right. Favorite Pirates memory?
My favorite Pirates memory, and I should know the year, but we broke the all-time single season attendance record. Probably was 90, it was probably 87 or 88. Back in the day, when I first got to the Pirates, we were terrible. Someone once called the ticket office, said he wanted a seat the 4th or 5th row behind first base because he wanted to catch one of Dale Barra's errant throws from shortstop to first base. So along comes Sid Thrift, our general manager, who was a character in his own right.
Right.
And he started molding the team, and that's when we got guys like Andy Van Slyke and Mike LaValliere and Jay Bell and Doug Drabick, and we were really good. And that's, of course, when Jim Leland joined our club, and for a couple of years we battled the Mets for the division title. While I was there, we never beat them. Doc Gooden and Strawberry and all those, but one year we broke the all-time attendance record. And as a salesperson, in the course of a baseball season, to get to the end and to feel that, it was very rewarding.
Were Bonds and Bonilla there too?
Bonds and Bonilla were there, so they were both okay. But everything you've heard about Barry Bonds, you can mark it down.
Okay. I was gonna say I'm not gonna ask any questions because that may be one of those pass. We have an underwritten rule. Anytime you don't want to say something, you just say pass. So that's probably a pass. I'll take that as a pass.
Yeah,
Okay. Did Leland smoke in the dugout?
he did. Yes,
He did.
Yes.
Those are my favorite. Is Leland smoking in the dugout? That's great.
And I'm telling you, Jim Leland is one of the finest people that I know.
Awesome.
Any manager in that scenario that cries with and for his team, I've seen it many times. Whether it's the Pirates or the Mariners or the Tigers, he's a great man.
Yeah. All right. So transitioning. Well, first of all, I was at Three Rivers Stadium for a Promise Keepers event one time, and it was in the middle of the summer, and we were on the turf. It was like being in a frying pan. I've never been more sunburned in my life. How hot does it get on that turf? I mean, we're talking old school turf now. We're not talking the nice stuff.
Oh, exactly. No, it gets hot. So we us in the front office, we played in a softball league, and it was a league made up mainly of media. It was radio stations, TV stations. Everyone had to have a home field. So most people had a kind of a park that somebody lived near or something. Well, our home field was Three Rivers. And so you scheduled a home and home with every team. Well, everybody wanted to play at Three Rivers. So we played all of our games there. We played right behind first base. We used the first base line as our first base line. We rolled a fire hose out all the way out to center field to create a third base line, and played softball all summer long when the team was on the road, and had a great time. And yeah, there were some really hot days down there on the turf.
So hot. I mean, it's maybe one of the hottest I've ever been, maybe sitting in that stadium for hours on a metal chair. It was like it was horrible. It was miserable, especially afterwards because I was so sunburned. All right. And I saw you at a Buckeye game. I don't get to too many of them. I think I've been to 2 in my entire life because when in Rome, and someone gave me the tickets. So I was very thankful for that. It rained like crazy that day. I think it was UNLV possibly is maybe who we went to see. I can't remember. But anyway, favorite Buckeye memory. And this is probably a tough one. There's probably a million.
There really are. And so I'll kind of highlight 2. So the first one was the Ohio State Notre Dame football game in 1995. It was such a big game. Even today, we just don't play Notre Dame that often. It had been since 1936. We played them, and this was 1995. We had big plans to entertain clients and things, and my wife went into what we thought was labor the night before the game. We didn't know what labor was. We hadn't had a child before. Yeah. So I actually went to the game without a cell phone back in those days. And about every 15 minutes, I'd run to a payphone and ask her how she was doing. So before you think of me as a bad father, my daughter was born just past midnight Sunday night. So it wasn't imminent on Saturday morning. Yeah. So that game itself, and the scenario with my family made it very memorable, but probably the most was the national title game in Arizona to have the kind of season that we had. And again, as a salesperson in that scenario, you do better when the team wins. I was actually a guest of Jack Park in his home for the Illinois game that year. Wow. It was the first overtime game in the history of Ohio State football. And I was so excited about where this team was going. And again, the revenue that we could make from being in the postseason. And when we went into overtime, Jack looked at me and he asked me if I was okay, because I guess I was white as a ghost. And I felt that same way in the national title game when we went to overtime with Miami. Yes. But to come out on top and win that, I was with a couple of my coworkers who actually were Ohio State grads, and they had gone even longer than I had as a fan to not win a title. It was very exciting, emotional, and really a great moment.
I imagine that is. I wouldn't call myself a Buckeye fan. But we had just moved down to Columbus. We had only been here a year or two, but the game was on, and so it was. I'm a sports fan, I should say, and I like Jim Tressel a lot, and that's probably a whole nother podcast for us to talk about. But and I liked Claret, and I've met Maurice, and he's a great guy. He really is. He's a great guy. I hope he comes on one day. I've invited him a couple times. Craig Krenzel's going to be on. We have to reschedule, but both great guys. Anyway, so I was kind of attached to the team in those ways, and that game was insane. And my wife fell asleep on the couch, and I kept wanting to wake her up because I'm like, this is ridiculous. This game is crazy. What is happening? And, obviously Maurice, the interception and Maurice taking it away, and just what an incredible. I have chills thinking about it. And I'm not, as I said, I'm not a huge Buckeye fan, but I still have chills thinking about it. It was a great game. It was it was for any fan of sport, unless you're a Miami fan, probably. It was an amazing, penalties or not penalties, all that kind of stuff. It had it all. It had all the drama. It was a beautiful game. Great. Just a great game. Yep. Great choice. Okay. You're off the hook. I'm not going to ask you any more questions. So, all right. Oh, I hope anybody listening to this knows that, first of all, Brian's just a great guy. I'm thankful for our friendship, wealth of knowledge, wealth of experience, and now is in a new opportunity that is needed. It's needed in today's world for companies as we constantly evolve. Shoot, the platform we're on right now, a year ago, none of us have ever heard of.
Exactly.
And here we are.
My first Zoom call a year ago, I didn't know what I was doing. I couldn't believe I was. Of course, my wife and daughters have iPhones. I still have a Samsung, so they've always had FaceTime. But
right.
Zoom is a little different than FaceTime. So the first time I was on a Zoom call, I really didn't know what I was doing. It became easy, and now it's just second nature.
Yep. And that, as a business, you've got to be on top of that. And so you guys have eyes and ears on that. You're ready for whatever's tomorrow and next. So anybody hearing this, please reach out to Brian. So let's just say that. Let's just say I'm toying with the idea of doing something. Is that a call that you would receive and just, you guys just sit down and consult and say, here's what we see? Is that something that you would do?
I would, first and foremost, I would love to schedule a meeting, whether it's a meeting like this,
yep,
or whether I could come out to your business with a mask and sit socially distant apart and talk about what you're thinking and talk about your points of pain and talk about maybe things, the websites that you've seen that you really like. And so really just ask a bunch of questions and get to understand what your needs might be. Bring those back here, share them with my team, kind of create some solutions, and then it becomes just a back and forth way to solve that problem. So we'll take a proposal and the client will say, that's almost there. We'll bring it back. We'll redo it. We'll start working on it until we get an outline, and then we'll do an agreement and get started. Some of the process to create a brand new website can take anywhere from 3 to 5 months based on different factors involved in the process. So it's a big investment. It's a big investment of time and capital. But as you've already said, it's the most important thing for a business today is to be visible and to be able to be connected by your customers.
And the return on that investment is huge. And sometimes it's not seen in dollars because we don't see it. And maybe I'm speaking out of school, but where you do see it is in the statistics. As I said, if you have this old website that doesn't look good on a phone, you don't understand. Again, there's not a quote unquote dollar figure attached to that, but there's a dollar figure attached to that, because if I don't like your website, I'm not going to come to your business. I'm just not. If I can go to somebody else that's got what I needed, when I needed it. I mean, we are so conditioned and so in many ways spoiled. I want to click on an app. I want to click on a site. I want to go to a site on a page. I want to click a QR code. I want easy. Even when I go to a restaurant in a COVID world now, you're going to scan a QR code. You're not even going to get a menu anymore. You're going to scan a QR code. It's right there on your phone. And if your restaurant's still handing out a 20-page menu, you're behind. You're missing it. So anyway, I'm probably preaching to the choir, but definitely worth the call. Anybody listening to this, definitely give Brian a call. No matter where you are, it sounds like no matter where you are in the country. I don't know how far this thing extends or reaches, but definitely worth the call. Just if nothing else, make a new friend because he's a great guy.
Well, thank you so much for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks for coming on tonight. Wish you the best and everything. I know we're going to talk again because I think we have some other things to talk about in the future, but
definitely.
I'm thankful for your time, thankful for your friendship, and I wish you the best in everything you do.
Well, I really appreciate that. I have that same appreciation for our friendship. And as you said, things change, we make pivots, but the friendships are always there. And I know we'll be talking real soon. So thanks for the opportunity to spend some time with you today.
Thanks, Brian. And I'll have this up for you, and hopefully you get a lot of phone calls. Hopefully your phone is ringing off the hook.
I would love it.
All right, take care. Talk to you soon,
Thank you.
Brian. All right,
All right.
bye-bye.